He-Man, the ultimate symbol of peak 1980s muscle-bound testosterone, might have just been defeated. Not by Skeletor, not by Hordak, but by a crippling midlife crisis and a severe lack of emotional validation? Yep, the internet is officially melting down because early reviews claim the new Masters of the Universe movie is actually a deep dive into fragile masculinity, and fans are losing their absolute minds. What is going on, my beautiful internet people? Welcome back to the channel where we dissect Hollywood drama so you don't have to. So, grab your power swords and your emotional support battle cats, because Amazon MGM's upcoming live-action Masters of the Universe film just dropped its first social media reactions. And oh boy, it is a certified digital war zone. It all started with a single tweet from Andrew J. Salazar, the managing editor of Discussing Film. He got an early look at the movie and decided to post his thoughts. He noted that the film feels like a sister project to the first Thor movie, struggling to find its footing early on, but once it locks on to themes of fragile masculinity and ego, it transforms into an incredibly fun, visually stimulating ride, highlighting that Nicholas Galitzine does a great job. Wait, hold the phone. Fragile masculinity? In Eternia? The place where everyone walks around in fur loincloths, lifting giant boulders just to flex their biceps? Naturally, the internet reacted with the calm, measured grace of a cornered raccoon. For longtime fans who grew up watching He-Man throw tanks and scream, "I have the power!" this phrasing was a massive red flag. Fans are incredibly fatigued with Hollywood taking classic, escapist 80s franchises and filtering them through modern political and social frameworks. They don't want a lecture on the psychological trauma of Prince Adam's alter ego. They want to see a muscular dude punch a skeleton wizard in the face. Now, to be completely fair, fans didn't just wake up today and choose violence. They were already hyper-vigilant because the creative team behind this movie has been dropping some pretty eyebrow-raising clues for months. Let's break down the context here. For the uninitiated, Masters of the Universe is a legendary franchise that started as a Mattel toy line in the 80s, which spawned an iconic cartoon. It's pure, unadulterated space fantasy. You've got Prince Adam, who uses a magical sword to transform into He-Man, the most powerful man in the universe. His mission? Defend the planet Eternia and Castle Grayskull from Skeletor, a blue-skinned overlord with a bear skull for a head who lives in a place called Snake Mountain. It is beautifully ridiculous, campy fun. But the director of this new live-action version, Travis Knight, the guy who did Bumblebee, already set off alarm bells in interviews. He previously described Skeletor not just as a bad guy who wants to rule the world, but as the literal embodiment of toxic masculinity. Then, Camila Mendes, who plays the badass warrior Captain Tila, doubled down. She told reporters that her version of Tila was heavily shaped by dealing with toxic masculinity and the intense pressures of surviving in Eternia's patriarchal society. When fans heard that, they instantly got PTSD. Over the last few years, we've seen franchise after legacy franchise, from Star Wars to The Witcher, get rebooted with a heavy emphasis on modern audiences and social commentary. Most of the time, critics end up praising the progressive themes, while general audiences absolutely bomb the user scores on Rotten Tomatoes because the original spirit of the show got lost in translation. So, when Salazar's review dropped, fans felt like their worst fears were officially confirmed. They felt like the movie was going to prioritize a sociology lecture over fun, escapist fantasy storytelling. But hold on, because this plot thickens faster than Skeletor's schemes. A whole counter-movement has emerged online claiming that the movie isn't actually a preachy lecture at all, and that critics are just projecting their own talking points onto it. Enter the counter-evidence. Massive shout-out to Nate from the Mr. H Reviews YouTube channel. He's been reporting that his inside sources, people who actually attended early test screenings of the movie, claim that all this toxic masculinity discourse is barely even noticeable in the final cut. According to them, the movie is just a straightforward, highly entertaining, action-packed space fantasy. Think about it like this. Prince Adam is a spoiled, sheltered prince who suddenly has to become a warrior god. Of course, he's going to have an ego problem at first. That's just a standard character arc, the classic hero's journey, where a cocky kid learns humility. But because modern critics look at everything through an ideological lens, they label basic character growth as deconstructing fragile masculinity. One of the most viral responses to the drama came from a commentator named Lord Brian Urso, who publicly called out Salazar's review. He pointed out that just because a reviewer looks for far-left buzzwords like toxic masculinity and wants them to be there, it doesn't mean they actually exist in the film. He noted that the people he knows who saw it called it awesome space fantasy fun and had absolutely no idea where those critical complaints were coming from. This perspective resonated with thousands of fans because it highlights a massive disconnect in entertainment culture today. Film critics often go into a theater looking for deep societal metaphors to write their essays about, while regular Joes just want to buy some popcorn, turn their brains off, and watch a cool movie. At the end of the day, this whole Masters of the Universe situation is just a symptom of a much larger war raging in Hollywood. It's the battle over modern audiences. On one side, you have older fans who feel gaslit. They feel like studios are hijacking the names and faces of their childhood heroes just to preach to them, completely ignoring the lore and the core audience that kept the franchise alive for 40 years. On the other side, defenders argue that stories have to evolve. You can't just make a literal carbon copy of a cheesy 1983 toy commercial today. You have to update the themes to match modern social attitudes and expectations. So where does the truth lie? Right now, we're stuck in limbo. Is Masters of the Universe a fun, epic space adventure with a standard, arrogant prince becomes a hero storyline that critics are over-intellectualizing? Or is it a preachy, heavily sanitized reboot that misses the entire point of the franchise? We won't know for sure until the movie hits theaters and regular audiences can judge it for themselves. But in the internet age, perception is reality. The narrative is already set, and the film is under a massive microscope. What do you think? Is Hollywood ruining another childhood classic, or are fans overreacting to a harmless review? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you want to stay updated on all things movie drama, do me a massive favor. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a breakdown. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.